what's your secret? You got the kind of vibe that leaves men speechless. It could be model multitasking genius. Yeah, you got it all.
All right, welcome back to Breakthrough Conversations with Rhoda and Company. Today's episode, Rich as a Mother, Healing, Hustle, and Breaking Generational Cycles. And our conversation today is really deeply personal. It's incredibly powerful and one that I believe that will resonate with a lot of women. So joining me is Lacey Burkett. She's the founder of Rich as a Mother, business coach, systems strategist, podcast host, mother of two, and a true generational cycle breaker. I'm so excited to have this opportunity to talk to Lacey. And Lacey has spent nearly a decade helping 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs scale their business through systems, automation, funnels, and back-end strategy. But her mission goes far beyond business growth. Through Rich as a Mother, she helps women build businesses that support their lives instead of consuming them.
Yes.
I know that's right. She teaches women how to create sustainable success without sacrificing motherhood, healing, presence, or the things that matter most. Her work is centered on helping women step out of survival mode, reject burnout and culture, and build lives rich in freedom, purpose, flexibility, and impact. And Lacey is also a survivor of domestic violence who has done the courageous work of healing and rebuilding. So today, she uses her experiences to create safe spaces for women, helping them realize they do not have to choose between entrepreneurship, motherhood, and their own well-being. They can have all of that. So in this conversation, we're talking about resilience. We're talking about healing, breaking generational cycles, redefining success, and becoming the woman you needed when you were younger. Lacey reminds us that being rich isn't just about money. It's about being rich in purpose, rich in healing, rich in presence, rich in legacy, and rich in motherhood. Lacey, welcome to Breakthrough Conversations. Look at your bio.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
Oh my God, that is a reflection of you and your story and your journey. And I'm so excited to have you here. So let's get into it, girl. You ready?
Okay, yes, I'm ready.
The first question that comes to me is around your personal journey. When you hear the phrase rich as a mother, what does that mean to you personally?
So, my son actually, when I was pivoting my business, he was actually the first one to come up with that name. And
Yeah.
obviously, we had two different ideas of what that meant. His idea obviously was monetarily. But yes, money is important, wealth is important.
Right.
But beyond that, Rich as a Mother is about presence, about peace, about flow, about not feeling this internal struggle of, am I, dropping and sacrificing my business? Am I, failing as a mother because I'm torn
Right.
between these two beautiful worlds that I've created? So that is,
it's releasing that mom guilt.
yes, absolutely.
That's beautiful. Kudos to your son. Who would have known that became a whole platform and a whole business concept that is living on to this day. So you've shared with me, and you're bravely sharing with our listeners, that you survived domestic violence twice. Was there a defining moment where you realized survival alone was no longer enough and healing had to become intentional?
Absolutely. So healing, yes, not only does it need to be highly intentional, but it's such a personal, internal journey. One that if it's, here's the deal, we could play, the blame game all day, every day,
Right.
but there's
Take your time.
definitely an internal reflection that needs to happen from a point of, where did I allow boundaries of my own to be crossed?
Yes.
Where can my voice be stronger and more confident? And there are, sorry.
That's okay. No, that's fine. Yes. I love this. already what you're sharing is moving.
There comes a time where you have to take that internal reflection and really work on yourself. It is, healing is such an internal thing. Like I said, you can play the blame game forever.
Right.
But until you realize maybe patterns that you have in yourself, then you're giving up your power.
Right.
And by playing into victimhood, you're giving away that power.
Right.
You will always find your identity in victimhood instead of being a victor. And I wasn't a victim of domestic violence. I experienced
You experienced it.
domestic violence.
I love that reframing. And you said something that I was brought up in the church. In my younger adult life, I started going to church. And one of the things my pastor, who was my father-in-law, used to say was, we are not victims, we are the victor. We are victorious. I love that reframing. So you are not a victim of domestic violence. You survived it, you experienced it, and it doesn't define you. And something else you said that was really hitting home for me, and you mentioned about identifying when you're looking inside where you allowed yourself to cross your own personal boundaries. And it really is, that's so true. Like, I don't think a lot of individuals recognize the power they have over situations and circumstances, and I'm speaking to myself as well, when we ignore the patterns. That is so powerful to me and so very profound. And people on the outside are sitting saying they know of a situation that this person is in, and they're saying, why don't they just leave? It's not as simple as that.
Right.
And it's not always because the person that they're in this relationship with is dominating them. It's like you said, it's that internal dialogue that's so important. I was at a job interview yesterday, and the lady that was interviewing me, I had several. It was an on-site interview out of town, and she said to me, she said, I do have one more question, Rhoda. How are you when you're your worst self? And I was like, what a powerful question. And I said, it's all internal. I say, you may not see it, but I'm having this internal dialogue that's really not healthy. And I'm at a negative energy. And I'm trying to, I say, now the beauty is I've gone through some training and some therapy, and I've learned and still learning how to coach myself through those moments, to coach myself up to a higher level of energy. But when it first hit, whatever the circumstance is, I go to a very dark place. It's always worst case scenario for me. And I shared with her, I say, and it's likely because I've experienced a lot of trauma in my life. So my brain is wired that way, and I'm constantly working to retrain it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's very similar.
And you tend to fall back into those patterns if you don't recognize them. So yes, healing is it's an internal job.
It is, inside out job.
Yeah.
So healing, as we just talked about, is often talked about like it's linear, but it rarely is. So what did healing honestly look like for you behind the scenes?
Oh gosh. Messy, and it's always a work in progress. Something that you touched on too is that we're constantly retraining our brains. Your brain obviously looks for evidence, and the only thing it has to go off of for evidence is the past. So although you're constantly having new experiences, your brain is constantly searching for, when have I experienced something like this, or what's something familiar. So you go through what should be a happy time, and your brain automatically correlates it to something that you experienced in the past. So something even as exciting as welcoming my daughter, it makes me think about maybe welcoming my son. And then it's, it goes back to, just maybe a less happy time. But that happens constantly. So I think it comes in waves, healing does, but it's definitely a constant journey. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm listening to a book on Audible. I can't think of the name of it right now. I can share it with you after this. But I was listening on the plane, and he was saying how our brain is trained to think a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
and if something triggers that thought, your body doesn't know the difference. So whatever emotion or feeling you had in that moment, no matter how long ago it was, it experiences that all over again. So he's talking about how you can retrain your brain so that you don't revisit those moments.
Right. Right.
That was,
And
I was like,
I
wow.
think too, one thing that's important is when you experience that is just to take a step back for a
Mhm.
second,
Mhm.
witness it, understand what your body's trying to do because your brain's trying to protect you
Right.
is all it is. And so just witnessing it and understanding that, hey, it's a different point in life, it's a different time in life, and just
Mhm.
letting it go.
Right. So, you know, both of us, you and I talked about this. We both understand what it means to inherit some painful cycles. So, what's one cycle you are most proud to have broken?
Okay, so I am so happy, and I have to remind
Mhm.
myself of this daily. I am so excited that my daughter feels so safe to take up
Mhm.
so much space. She
Yes.
is 2.5,
Mhm.
and she is so loud, and her
Mhm.
personality is just, it fills up a room. And
Yes.
so I have to remind myself what a blessing that is
Mhm.
that she feels so safe to
Mhm.
be able to express the
Breasts.
way she
Yes.
feels,
Mhm.
and just her personality is just
Mhm.
incredible for two and a
Yes.
half. Um, but beyond that, I'm very proud that I can show both of my kids what it's like to have a loving home
Mhm.
and a strong mother and father
Yes.
together, an amazing example of
Mhm.
what a man and a marriage should be.
Right.
And have that for my son to look up
Mhm.
to is incredible because on both sides,
Mhm.
there was definitely some
Mhm.
unhealthy upbringing.
Right.
And so it's incredible to be able to give my son that gift now.
Yes.
My husband is an amazing human being.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Well, kudos to you for
thank
breaking
you.
that cycle and being that example for both of your children. It's going to go a long way. I too, and my family was the first on my mom's side, the first to break that cycle of
Mm.
marriage. I married young. We're still married. It'll be 36 years. And still like each other and still make each other laugh, and we make other people laugh. They keep saying we need a reality show. But when my youngest son was like 7, he was sitting in front of the TV watching Real Housewives of
Mm.
something.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even know it was on because I, at the time, wasn't really following those. And all of a sudden, I was in the kitchen and he turned around and he was crying. And he said, "How am I supposed to find a wife
Oh.
if all the women are crazy?" And I said, "Jalen, what's wrong?" He said, "How did my dad find you?" And that was his personality. He's always focused on marriage
Mm.
at a young age because that's what he's witnessed.
Mm-hmm.
And he is 22 and he's in this long term relationship. I would be surprised if they don't end up married. He is a relationship guy to the point you made. Those cycles matter,
Mm-hmm.
and our kids are watching, and it
Yes.
impacts their decision making too.
Yeah, and I
Hmm.
think more than, teaching your kids or telling your kids what to do or how to do
Right.
it, they're watching you all the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
So, choices in life,
Hmm.
brave ones, scary ones,
Yes.
ones that should be easy, but they're not, but they're the right things to do. It's
Right.
how you lead by
It
example.
is. It is. So, what inspired you? Let's talk about your motherhood and entrepreneurship bucket. What inspired you to build a business focused on supporting women in entrepreneurship and mothers specifically?
So prior to having my daughter, I had, and this was even prior to COVID,
Mm-hmm.
I had started working as an executive assistant virtually, and an online
Mm-hmm.
business manager. Um, and I would build the systems for 6 and 7 figure
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs, their back ends, all of the things. And after I had my daughter, I was like, it's fine. I work from home. It's
Mm-hmm.
cool. I don't expect a hiccup or anything in business. And with my son, I was in corporate, and so my grandmother watched him, and I was able to just go to work.
Right.
So working from home with my daughter was a brand new experience, one that I highly underestimated. And at every stage of motherhood, just when you think you have it figured out, they surprise you.
Right.
So I quickly realized that I either needed to give up my business, that I had worked so hard and, had learned so many things in the industry, or I needed to shift and pivot. And
Right.
so that's exactly what I did. Instead of, building the back end systems for my clients, I'm like, you know what? The back end systems that I understand, if moms could implement these in their service-based business, they would experience a level of freedom that they never knew existed.
Right.
And so I think I know that's where my passion for that came from, is because a lot of, you think social media managers, photographers, hairstylists, I mean, this could apply to almost any industry, generating that extra level of passive income or, automating some of their back-end processes. That's really where the passion came from.
That's amazing. And now with AI, there's a whole nother layer that could be added to that to make it even more helpful for moms. So why do you think so many women feel guilt then when pursuing their own dreams, especially mothers?
So I think all women feel this, most women, but especially mothers. We are so giving and we are so used to putting ourselves last, whether it's feeding our kids or, who gets to relax and rest and play. And so I think that there's an internal struggle for moms, especially of, okay, well, I need to sacrifice this so that my family feels supported or so that my kids feel supported. Because I think that moms are the first ones to, go without and sacrifice.
Right. And you're right. All women, we all do that. Put ourselves last. So you help women systemize their business. What are some signs a woman may be building her business from burnout instead of alignment?
Hands down, it's overwhelm. And I think that overwhelm is it's an easy fallback. We're all overwhelmed. But from a business standpoint, hands down, there's something in your business that is overwhelming you. And it doesn't mean that it has to stop or that you have to step away from it completely. There's definitely an alternative, but it's a matter of finding out where that drain is coming from. But yeah, it definitely shows up as overwhelm.
Yeah. When you say that, like when I was dabbling around in entrepreneurship, and I got so overwhelmed because I was like, which direction do I want to focus on? Yeah, I can see that being true. Yeah. So how do you personally define success now versus earlier in your life?
So booked out was always the goal, especially in, the service industry. But at some point you can only scale so high, especially if you're by yourself, and hiring out isn't always
feasible.
It's not always feasible, and it's not always the answer. I mean, that creates another overhead expense. And so I used to think that being booked out was what success was.
Okay.
And now it's the amount of freedom and white space I can have in my calendar.
Look at the difference.
Yeah.
Being booked out earlier was how you defined it, and now it's the total opposite. How much white space do I have in my calendar? And I would assume one of the reasons that's important is so that you can have the space to create and tap into some creativity, but also for self-care.
It's self-care. It's pouring into my family. It's opportunities like this that's serving not only my audience, but your audience in a different capacity. And if I was at home with one client all day, every day, or multiple clients all day, every day, I couldn't do things like that. We're reaching... By doing business in a different way, you're able to help a broader audience. And it might not even be your audience.
Right.
So.
That is so true. So what does it mean? I heard you say this earlier about your daughter feeling safe. What does it mean to create a safe space for women?
So I think all women have experienced this at one point, that, sometimes we tend to think the worst of women. Like we feel very judged, and that could be from an internal perspective because we're not mirroring. Projecting. Yes, we're projecting that onto, other women. And so for me, creating a safe space is come as you are.
Right.
There's no judgment. We are all trying to scale, not only professionally, but personally to this almost unattainable level that even if we reached it, it probably wouldn't be good enough.
Right.
And so I think just, I just want to have a friendly environment, right? Like
show up as your authentic self.
Yeah.
Let's take the mask off. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that is a very good way of putting it.
So what would you say to the woman listening who feels stuck in survival mode right now?
Okay, so the first thing you need to do is write all of it down or talk to yourself in the car or do something to get it out of your brain because it's not productive and it's blocking you in so many ways, and half of it's garbage and most of it's not true. And what is true, then reflect on it and then figure out what to do with it. It's almost like cleaning out the Tupperware cabinet. You know what I mean? Like you just have to take it all out, match the lids, find out, what missing pieces are and throw it away.
I actually did that recently. It felt so freeing.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, where did this come from?
Where did the stuff come from?
Exactly. And that's what happens. That's
so true.
Too.
What a great analogy.
Yeah.
So if your younger self could see your life today, what do you think she would say?
She would be so confused in the best way, because it's funny, you tell God your plan and he laughs, and this was not a linear path or journey, and I couldn't have even in a million years predicted that this is where we would be. And so, she would be amazed, but she'd be like, what the heck? Like, we're doing what? How'd that happen?
Yes. So a woman that is an entrepreneur, or maybe she's not, maybe she's wanting to be, thinking about being, or maybe she's not even an entrepreneur. She just want to connect with you. What would connecting with you look like, and what would you have to offer them?
Okay, so they can either find me on Instagram at Lacey's Best Life, or they can go to my website, richasamother.com. On there, I have blogs that they can sift through everything from motherhood and home to systems and strategies, business. But if they're experiencing overwhelm in their business, I do have a 3-minute little quiz on there, just to help them pinpoint where their leaks are happening in their business that's causing that overwhelm. It gives them a score from 1 to 10 and helps them kind of pinpoint, as well as gives them the next best steps on how they can fix it themselves or how we can work together deeper on it.
Awesome. So we're going to shift to rapid fire round. I'm going to ask you these questions, and whatever comes to mind, I want you to answer.
Oh gosh. Okay.
So the first one is, one word that describes this season of your life.
Beautiful chaos, but I know that's 2.
But I love it. Beautiful chaos, which also signifies that life isn't perfect. That doesn't take away from the beauty.
Right.
That's all part
It keeps it fun, interesting.
Yeah. What's one thing motherhood made you stronger at?
Slowing down.
Love it. And what's one boundary you no longer apologize for?
Saying no, thank you.
Yes. That's so true. Coffee, tea, or silence?
Oh. Unsweet iced tea.
Okay, and I like it sweet. What's something you used to pray for that now you have?
Everything. This life.
Wow. And finish this sentence. Being rich as a mother means?
Being rich as a mother means...
That's okay. That's okay.
Not having to sacrifice motherhood for a livelihood.
I love that. Not having to sacrifice motherhood for livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? Without the livelihood, your motherhood is suffering.
Mm-hmm.
That is powerful. Oh my God. So, Lacey, first I want to just say thank you for sharing. Like some of the stuff that you and I talked about to even get to this point,
Mm-hmm.
to see what we could focus on, gave me intel into some personal struggles you've had and you and I both have had.
Mm-hmm.
And we bonded on that when we first met.
Yeah.
So I just want you to know that you are an example of rich as a mother, like what it looks like. The things you've overcome have made you who you are today. And you're a perfect example for it's so many women out there that feel stuck and that don't understand why they're choosing to stay in the situation they're in, and they want out but they don't know how to get out, and they don't realize the key is within them.
It is.
Yeah.
1000%.
Mhm.
And that's another thing too, is no one can push you
Mhm.
to make a decision in life. And I
Right.
think that this goes for any, not only traumatic
Mhm.
experience, but just any experience in
Right.
life. No one can make you do something.
Mhm.
You have to have the courage and the confidence in
Yes.
yourself. And I know that that's the biggest hurdle to
Mhm.
get over.
Mhm.
But do the inner work.
Yes.
I mean, I think I started with podcasts
Mhm.
and Audible books.
Right.
Some really probably sketchy music.
Mhm.
But it boosted my confidence
Mhm.
and it made me feel powerful on the inside. And once you make a powerful decision in
Mhm.
life, no matter what it is, once you make a powerful decision in life, there's nothing else you can't overcome
That's
or do.
so true. That is so true. Well, I love this conversation, and we can have it again in the
Yay!
future. This was amazing. Again, Lacey, thank you for your honesty, your vulnerability, and your strength today and all the way up into your life to this moment. Your story is such a reminder that healing is possible, cycles can be broken, and women do not have to choose between motherhood, purpose, peace, and success.
Mhm.
I love that. And I appreciate the work you're doing through Rich as a Mother to create spaces where women feel supported and empowered and seen. So to everyone listening, I hope this conversation reminded you that your past does not have to define your future. Healing takes intention, but legacy changes when someone decides. The cycle stops with them. So thank you for tuning in to Breakthrough Conversations with Rhoda and Company, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Hey, what's your secret? You got the kind of vibe that leaves men speechless. It could be model multitasking genius, yeah, you got it all. Hey, what's your story? A kick-ass mom and 40 under 40. A soccer practice in your high heel glory, yeah, you do it all.